Hi, this is Kowski, and in this video we're going to do a very concise overview of the War of 1812. So this all really begins with the problems with Native Americans, and as we know that although there were treaties such as the Jade Treaty where the British were supposed to evacuate the Northwest Territory, they did and they didn't. So we'll see this with ongoing problems that it tends to be a theme with Native Americans as the American country is pushing west. And of course, Native Americans are going to be quote unquote in the way of expansion. So we do have Native American presence, particularly in the Indiana territory. And you can see that there are various tribes that occupy this region. And one of the things that are going to happen, you have a group of congressmen known as war hawks, and they're actually looking to incite war, namely with Britain. Keep in mind, under this time, you're going to have a new president, James Madison, who will also be a Democratic Republican, just like his predecessor, Thomas Jefferson. Remember, they're not so, happy with Great Britain, and they tend to align themselves much better with the French. But nevertheless, one of the things that the War Hawks are going to do, they're going to trick the Native Americans into signing 3 million acres of land to the United States in 1809. And again, this continues with the theme that you are very much aware of, that Native Americans are going to be conquered. They are going to be tricked into these dubious, arbitrary treaties that they have no idea what they're signing to. And so you're going to have Tecumseh's Confederacy, where you're going to have a conglomerate of various tribes forming together in Indiana. And the problem with this is not so much that they're defeated, namely at the Battle of Tippecanoe in 1811, but what's problematic is that it comes out that the British were actually secretly supplying the Native Americans with weapons. And so after this battle, once it comes about, these angry congressmen, known again as the War Hawks, are using this as a battle cry. And they're actually at one point even looking to potentially conquer Canada, where the British were currently occupied. So although the British had, technically evacuated many of the forts out in the Northwest area territory, they were still being an annoying presence, as we know, as they are secretly, providing Native Americans with weapons. So this is going to be a rallying cry, and ultimately you're going to have the War of 1812, as some, of course, people call this, the Second Battle of Independence. But this is going to be sort of a tit for tat, as you can see here on this map. You're going to see various battles, particularly on the Canadian-American border, and that's going to be, where much of the fighting is going to happen. We're not going to be so much concerned with each individual battle as much as we're going to be concerned with the fact that this is going to eventually reaffirm American independence for the second time. Yes, you might see more British victories than American ones. Yes, you will see the burning of the White House, but you'll also see the burning of Ottawa, the provincial capital in Canada. So this is sort of a tit-for-tat type of war, and at the end of the day, there is no clear winner on either side, but it's more that the British are going to be worn out. And ultimately, from this, you're going to have the Treaty of Ghent, which is going to be signed on Christmas Eve of 1814, where both countries are going to recognize each other, and in particular, Great Britain, for the second time, is going to agree to recognize American sovereignty. Again, that idea that you are in control of your own affairs. What's interesting, you'll see that Andrew Jackson will be a very notable general that comes out of the War of 1812, of course, a future president down the road. But you might wonder, wait, January 8th, 1815, he has the battle, even though this is after the Treaty of Ghent is signed. That's actually just a failure of communication. But again, at the end of the day, major idea. America has now survived for 25 years. Independence is reaffirmed. And again, this is going to confirm American dominance, particularly in the Western Hemisphere. So that is huge. As you know, the first time may have just been a fluke. You could say, oh, the French were very instrumental in the American Revolutionary War. And now you look at a second time, maybe there's some muster, some strength for the American army, and absolutely that could be said. And here you see a depiction of Andrew Jackson in the War of 1812 in New Orleans, and again, that's going to catapult him into the spotlight, and you'll see him eventually becoming a more of a national figure after this particular role. So we will end here, and that again is the big picture that we have of the War of 1812.